Kimboy, KTN News.
Many thanks for that, Noah. But even as we spoke of LPG prices earlier on, we now want to get into renewable energy. And joining me is Olivier Jacquet, the Business Development VP for Africa, Middle East and South America for Schneider Electric. Thank you for joining us.
Hi.
Hello. So before we get right into it, of course, there was a joint report by the Ministry of Energy and the Clean Cooking Association of Kenya that say that LPG has risen to become the second most highest cooking fuel that is used in Kenya. But the first is wood. Okay, and that's about 64.7%. So already, given the numbers, how do you see the renewable energy shift progressing right now in the country?
Well, actually, at Schneider Electric, we believe access to electricity is a basic human right, and that's a strong statement because it means everyone on this planet should have access to a source of modern energy. So what does it mean, modern energy? It's energy that is safe, reliable, efficient, and sustainable. If you look at what electricity can, on energy in general, can bring to the population, is really necessary condition for accessing basic health services, education, economic development, and sometimes safety and women empowerment as well, in some cases.
Okay, all right. But as we talk about green energy, the education, of course, we need to make sure that people are aware that these are the options out there. And do you think that we need to keep pushing that boundary even more? Or, have we got to that point where we have already tapped into majority of the people who need to be made aware of these things?
Definitely, when I look at the numbers, and I'm speaking here of African continent, we have 600 million people not having access to energy, which is in the sub-Saharan Africa, it's 1% out of 2 on average.
Wow.
If I look at Kenya, Kenya is right on the average of Africa. But Kenya has made a lot of progress in the past 15 years. We were starting 15 years ago with 15% electrification rate. We are now reaching 50, and the authorities are planning another plus 15% in the coming 5 years. In order to bridge this gap, I think it's a shared effort that many type of bodies will have to make. Business, private sector, as well as government to set the legal framework, and not to forget some associations like NGOs which are involved in this journey. Now, looking at Africa, this is a very wide continent. I have seen a very interesting picture where you can clearly see that if you fit China, India, part of Europe, Russia, and North America, all the surface of these continents would fit into Africa. This is why it's so difficult to have Africa being equipped with infrastructures, for example, on the electrical grid, because those long lines of high voltage are very costly. Hence, it's necessary to make use of renewable and consider that in some cases, compared to drawing an HV line, it's better to, for instance, tap into the most abundant source of energy in Africa, which is solar energy.
Okay.
So solar microgrids is a very good example.
And when we talk about Schneider Electric, actually, you have this pay as you go. You have a payment of bills, which is something that you've come up with, a standalone pay-as-you-go electricity solution. So tell me more about that.
Yeah, we have developed this. It's not new in the market, but it's a new product for Schneider, and we intend to come big in this market. Kenya has been ranked second biggest market in the world for solar lanterns and SHS by Gogla, a renowned international association. Basically, the system of pay-go is that you can use electricity without paying upfront the full initial buying price of a product. I take an example so that everyone understands here what I'm talking about. Imagine a family living in rural areas.
Yeah.
They would get lighting at home from candles, kerosene lamps, which is what is happening today.
Yes.
And people wouldn't realize that actually, even if you buy a few shillings for a candle, after 3 months, instead of spending all that money, you could have bought a solar lantern, which would do the same function, except that after those 3 months, energy is for free, lighting is for free in your home. So those families on average have earnings of $20 to $40 a month, and they're spending a third of that on energy, which I find myself pretty much insane. I mean, we have to help those guys spend less money on this service. And basically, the pay-go system enables to not pay the full price of the device that we will sell in those areas, but only a part of it, in the form like a lease plan. And after a certain period of time, the product will belong to the user. That's the pay-go function. It can be linked to mobile platforms for operators here in Kenya.
Okay, so definitely a shift towards affordability as well and convenience.
Exactly.
Okay, thank you so much for joining us and for speaking to us today.
Thank you.